Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today. We are going to be talking about behavior changes today. So, we're going to just kind of figure out. I feel like a lot of times we decide that we're going to make a behavior change and we just like decide that we're going to do something and we want something to be different in our life, and then we just like jump right in with what we're going to do. So that could be like, oh, I'm going to start a new diet, or I'm going to have a new exercise program, but we don't really think about like why we're doing it, or just really anything behind it. We just know we want something different, and we put like a plan into place to kind of figure out how to make that happen. We hear this like little voice in our head and it's telling us that we need to make this change. But I really want to talk about like for lasting behavior change. We're going to talk about 5 different steps that we can do to kind of get started on making that behavior change lasting. The things we're going to talk about are like trying to figure out where you're at right now, finding why you're doing it. That's a really important thing. Knowing what your why is when it comes to behavior change. We're going to start thinking about like how consistent we can be and why consistency matters. And then we're going to talk about focusing on the behavior and then reviewing your behavior to see if it's really something that you can do for the long term for lasting behavior change. So come join me. We'll chat about a lot of stuff today. So, do you want to make a lasting behavior change? How will you start that? And what kind of things do you need to know? What kind of questions do you need to know? And what kind of things do you need to really be honest with yourself about to make that behavior change a lasting change? First, let's talk about where you're at right now in your life. When you are talking about like that you want to make a change, whether it's you want to lose weight or you want to exercise or you want to have a life where you're feeling like calmer and less stress or better able to cope and manage stress. So where are you at? We've talked about this previously about like where you're at on the behavior change scale. So are you contemplating that you want to make a change? Are you like, where are you at? Are you feeling like you're having a hard time moving around, but you're not really ready to start exercising to make that happen? Are you thinking about the baby weight that you still have, but you're not really ready to make that happen? Are you so stressed out and you're like in this survival mode and you can't really take any steps forward? You just are surviving and not really in a place that you feel like you can make a change? Know that there's no judgment in this. We're just trying to figure out where you're at so that we can figure out when you can make a change. Because if you're not ready to make a change, then it's going to be really hard to start a behavior change, but it's probably going to be really hard to maintain it because you're not ready. So really kind of try to figure out, are you ready to make these important changes that you want, or are you requiring a little bit more time to make this change? And some things I want you to think about when we're talking about where you're at is, what will it cost you to maintain your current level of health? What's the outcome of that? So if you're in survival mode and you're just going, like at what point does that stop? When will you decide that you want something different so that your life can be different and it can feel like you have a lot more control over your stress? And then what will you be missing out on if you continue where you're at? So if you're somebody who is having a hard time moving around, what does that do like in the long term for you? Does that mean that you will miss out on some times with your kids and playing and running with them because you're not able to move around? What's the cost of kind of maintaining that? So this question of trying to decide where you're at in your health journey isn't meant to judge you. It's really just to kind of see where you're at and just kind of figure out if you're ready to move forward with making a change, or if right now you feel like you're in a place where you're content staying with thinking about the behavior that you want to change. Next, identifying why you want to make a healthy change, or why do you want to make a healthy change in your life. What's the reason? What's the why behind this desire for change? Are you scared of getting like diabetes because you're, middle-aged, almost middle-aged? Do you want to be able to play with your kids more, like we've talked about, and maybe you're not moving as well? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to look better in pictures? Like, what is it? Why, like, what is it behind, like, what's the core of why you want to do this? The reason why this is a really important question and to really tap into it, I think a lot of times we get very superficial. Well, I want to lose weight because, and it'll be something that isn't real. It might be something like, I want to look good in my jeans. And that's something that I think we all feel, right? But I really want you to dive deeper and get into like the real raw reason here. Instead of a little bit more surface, because this reason why is going to be really important, because it has to do with our core values and our identity. Knowing your why will really help you, like, inspire you and motivate you, because it is part of your value and your identity. When things get really hard, you'll be able to tap into that. I think a lot of times when we talk about making a behavior change, we just think like, oh, I'm motivated for right now and I'll always be motivated. But that's not really the case. Motivation comes and goes. It's not steady. It's ever changing. I mean, there could be times that you're going to be really motivated, and there are going to be times that you're really not wanting to move or eat the way you want to eat to get the goal that you want. So knowing your why is going to be really important in really, tapping into why you're doing this. And it will really help inspire you to continue to do and have the change if you know the reason why you want it. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle is lifelong, and it requires a lot of consistency and commitment. And without knowing our why or the real reason and digging deep into finding out why we want to do that, it's going to be very hard to maintain that level of consistency, motivation, and commitment. Some questions to think about why you're doing something. Just, how would your life look different if you made the change, or how would your life look different if you made the change that you desire? So really tapping into, like, what do you want? And then how would your life look different if you made that change? Knowing your why will help keep you motivated and will tap into the feeling of being able to achieve your goal when you are really truly struggling. Next, so we've talked about two different things. We've talked about, like, finding out where you're at, knowing what your why is. And then next, we're going to talk a little bit about consistency. So making a commitment every single day to work on your health goal is necessary for long-term lasting success. For a lot of us, I would say I can use weight loss as an example. So we've done this weight loss thing before, right? We've probably done it where we've had periods where maybe we were consistent for 2 weeks, or maybe we were consistent for 6 months, or maybe we were consistent longer than that. So we've all done, whether it's weight or it's another behavior, we've all done this where we are like on the bandwagon, off the bandwagon. most of us know what we want to do. So, in terms of our behavior that we desire, most of us know kind of what we need to do to get there. So, if it's for weight loss, we know that we probably have to eat less, or we know that if exercise is your goal, you know that you're going to have to do a little bit more physical activity than you're doing now. We know what we have to do, right? But we just don't do it. And if we do it, it's not consistent enough to make the change lasting. We may do the behavior for a really short period of time, but then we stop doing the very things we know we need to do to get the goal that we want. We are not consistent. So the goal here for lasting change is to make an effort most days to achieve the goal that you want. You want ultimately the behaviors to be so consistent that they're a part of your lifestyle, and that you no longer are really considering it to be anything but that. So you're not thinking of it as a task. It's just part of your day, and you're not even thinking about it because it has become your identity. So consistently practicing the same behavior on most days will help you feel really in control at the beginning of your health. And at the beginning especially, it may also help provide you with like confidence and momentum, what you need in order to make the changes lasting. Next, we're going to talk about like really focusing on the behavior, not the outcome. So I think a lot of us, I know I'm so guilty of this. If I'm thinking about losing weight, right? I'm like, oh, I want to lose weight. Oh, I want to lose weight. But I really fail to concentrate on the behavior that I need to do to make that outcome happen, right? So behavior, though, is something that we need to engage in consistently in order for the outcome to happen. So the behavior is something that is like that we can find satisfaction in every day. The outcome tends to be something that is a much further away goal. So if we're focusing on the outcome, then it may seem so far away from us that we're not practicing the behavior that we need to do consistently to get us to the outcome, if that makes sense. So I want you to kind of think about this in terms of monitoring your behavior and not monitoring the outcome. So the behavior is something that is much more controllable and more measurable to achieving the goal or the outcome that you want to do. It's very hard to maintain consistent motivation with something that feels so far away, like the outcome. The behavior is ultimately what's going to help get you to the outcome that you want. So focusing on the behaviors is something that over time, taking a tiny step and a tiny behavior and building upon that behavior will help you achieve your bigger goal and outcome that you want. So focus on the behavior here, okay? So some examples include, I will exercise. This is the behavior, okay? So first we'll do like the outcome. So your outcome that you want is, I want to be more fit. I want to better be able to move. Well, that's really like vague, right? So that's your outcome. But what are the behaviors that you're going to need to do? Because the behaviors are what needs to be consistent, and the behavior is what's going to lead you to your ultimate goal of becoming more fit and better able to move. So the behavior would be something like, I will exercise so many times this week. Same with weight loss. Your outcome is weight loss. I will log my food so many times this week. If your outcome is you want to feel more energized, your behavior would be something like, I will eat this many fruits and vegetables this week. For meditation, for the outcome of being calmer or better able to handle stress, your behavior may be something like, I will meditate so many times this week. So why I'm breaking that down to you is because that behavior over time will lead you to the outcome that you want. So instead of looking at the big picture, really break it down into these like consistent behavioral steps that you can take consistently in order to achieve the goal or the outcome that you want. So break these goals down. So figure out what your goal is that you want to achieve, and then break these goals down into break these goals down into smaller behavior changes that you need to make. And so set goals that you know that you're going to be able to commit to and easily achieve. So if your goal is to be more fit and better able to move, well, then, you're not going to probably start with a behavior that you're going to run 5 or 7 days a week. Do something that's like very small at the beginning so that over time you can build on the behavior to achieve the goal or the outcome that you want. You want your beginning goals to be pretty doable so that you can easily achieve them. You don't want it to be like a behavior each week that's really hard that you're not going to do, because then it's going to be hard for you to continue that behavior to over time achieve your goals. So just start small. Don't set behaviors that you're not going to be able to achieve. Set behaviors that you can easily commit to and achieve, and then each week build upon them so that you can get the outcome that you desire. And then lastly, it's really important for creating lasting behavior change to review your behavior and what worked. So at the end of each week, review how your behavior went this week that you decided. So if you wanted to work out 3 days a week, look at those goals. Was it something that you were able to do? Was it hard? Was it easy? Do you need to change any of those behaviors? Do you need to streamline it to make it easier for you? Just try to figure out like what works for your lifestyle. Habits happen over time and they need to be practiced over and over and over again. So reviewing your behavior will help like identify any patterns that are coming up that are a barrier to your behavior, but will also help you like set realistic expectations of what you can achieve. And also reviewing your behavior is a process that will help you formulate a plan of what works best for you so that you can maintain the health goal that you want for the long term. I don't want you to compare yourself to anybody else. You have your own capability and you're unique. And so try to figure out what works for you. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Dig deep, find out if you're ready to make a change. Why are you making that change? Can you be consistent? What's your focus on your behavior? What is your behavior you're going to do this week? And then review your behavior at the end of the week. Review it so that you know if it works for you or not. If it doesn't work, change it up so that you can be successful, so that you're not going to keep repeating the same behavior each week, not achieving it. Make it doable for you at this point in your life. Having whole health, and whole health is not having a more balanced approach to your health, is not an impossibility, but only you can make it happen. And it's not going to happen by being passive in your life. It's something that you have to make a decision that you want to happen. It may require you to dig really deep and be uncomfortable, but it's not about being perfect. It's just about taking one step every day, no matter, even if it's 1%, no matter how small, just taking the step and moving forward. Done is better than perfect. So let's fail forward together, because I'm all about being imperfect. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening today.